Movies that are banned and will never be played today. The entertainment environment is always altering what's acceptable material, whether one labels it cancel culture or just Hollywood adapting to the ever-changing reality around them. Things that were once usual have now become forbidden, so none of these contentious films will be done in the same manner now. Some jokes are deemed racist, sexist, homophobic, or transphobic. Others have complete story aspects that simply don't hold up to the way the world works, and what groups demand the respect that was previously denied to them. Many of these contentious films are still regarded as legendary, despite their apparent shortcomings today, but none of them would be filmed today. Aladdin, 1992. Aladdin was a huge blockbuster for Disney in 1992 thanks to gorgeous animation, timeless melodies, and a brilliant voice performance by Robin Williams. However, when the firm rebuilt the film in 2019 as a live-action picture, they modified some significant components of it. Why? The original animated picture, on the other hand, was riddled with racial stereotypes about the Middle East, as well as a problematic representation of Princess Jasmine as a lady who needed to be rescued. For the aforementioned live-action version, all of this was toned down. Stripes, 1981. Many fans of comedy deem Bill Murray's hilarious masterpiece, Stripes, to be his best work. However, it's exceedingly doubtful that the film would be filmed today, owing to the plot's wacky military shenanigans, which end in a phony war with the Soviet Union. A military comedy like that would almost certainly never gain significant studio support in a post-9/11 environment. Soul Man, 1986. Soul Man, released in 1986, was about a Caucasian high school student portrayed by C. Thomas Howell, who began wearing blackface to appear as an African American in order to gain a college scholarship available to black kids. Animal House, 1978. Many moviegoers see Animal House as a classic college comedy. However, the film's comedy is based on several sexual and racial stereotypes that would never be acceptable in a modern picture. The film's satire was so controversial at the time that studio bosses reportedly summoned comedian Richard Pryor to clear a sequence set in an African-American club. Batman Forever, 1995. There's nothing in Batman Forever that would prevent it from being done today in terms of objectionable material. However, in today's atmosphere of self-serious comic book pictures that venerate and enrich their source material, the film's colorful, campy, and almost humorous depiction of the Caped Crusader and his companions would never be greenlit. 16 Candles, 1984. While those who were teenagers in the 1980s have fond memories of John Hughes' Brat Pack movies, 16 Candles couldn't exist today without significant changes. For starters, the picture is full of sexual attitudes that would offend current sensibilities. The most significant modification, though, would have to be the total metamorphosis of the character Long Duck Dong. Despite Getty Watanabe's strong performance, the Japanese exchange student role is one of the most offensive Asian caricatures ever committed to film. Slapshot, 1977. Slapshot often leads lists of outstanding sports movies due to its realistic depiction of hockey, interesting characters such as the Hanson brothers, and a game-changing performance by Paul Newman. The picture, though, may have been a little too realistic for its own good. Blood, violence, and so-called blue language, including homophobic insults, would simply not be tolerated today. Crocodile Dundee, 1986. Crocodile Dundee was a critical and economic success upon its first release, garnering writer and star Paul Hogan an Academy Award nomination. However, in retrospect, the picture contains a slew of flaws that make it troublesome now. To begin with, the character of Hogan is repugnant to Australians. Aside from that, the film contains various jokes about transgender people that are quite improper by today's standards. Die Hard, 1988. Die Hard has never been more culturally relevant than it is now, with everything from toys and memes to a seemingly never-ending yearly discussion about whether it's a Christmas movie, keeping the film in the public consciousness. This is somewhat amusing, given that the picture would almost certainly never be created today, at least not in its present form. The film is not only very violent, but also makes light of the notion of a terrorist strike, which would most certainly be far more difficult to carry out in today's environment. Caddyshack, 1980. Comedy lovers still enjoy Caddyshack today, just like many of the other comedies on our list. However, the film contains racist and sexist speech that, in today's world, would never make it beyond the first draft of a screenplay. Heathers, 1989. This Winona Ryder, Christian Slater film speaks to the sensitivities of kids who do not feel accepted by society, which as a concept might still be relevant today. The film's ending, however, including teenagers blowing up their high school, played nearly for laughs no less, would not seem right today as real-life school shootings continue to haunt America. Mr. Mom, 1983. On a conceptual level, Mr. Mom would not fly today. When his wife obtains a new job, a father must learn how to care for his children in the Michael Keaton picture. Gender stereotypes in the film would never fly in the 21st century. Chasing Amy, 1997. While Chasing Amy felt ahead of its time in 1997 with its candid LGBTQ themes and characters, and it remains a favorite of independent cinema and Kevin Smith fans alike, the film's basic premise seems outmoded and downright disrespectful to current sensibilities. For the entirety of the film, Ben Affleck's Holden McNeil tries to persuade Joey Lauren Adams, Alyssa Jones, to date him despite the fact that she's a lesbian. Holden lashes out at her for her history once she eventually agrees. Even though the movie shows Holden as being at fault for the majority of this, the plot would turn off most viewers. Pocahontas, 1995. Disney's animated rendition of Pocahontas was controversial when it was released in 1995 due to the considerable modifications made to the real-life tale, as well as the transformation of John Smith into a heroic figure. More than 25 years later, with the truth readily accessible to everyone with a smartphone connection, the film would almost certainly be far more troublesome if created at all. Back to the Future, 1985. Back to the Future is widely regarded as a masterpiece of scriptwriting and one of the finest blockbusters of the 1980s. However, the film's quasi-incest narrative, in which the younger version of Marty McFly's mother, Lorraine, has the hots for him, was nearly too contentious to make it in 1985, much less today. If and when Back to the Future is redone, the plot will most certainly be severely toned down, if not completely removed. I'm Curious in Yellow, 1967. Film about a young, strongly left-leaning girl who goes through emotional, sexual, social, and political ups and downs against the backdrop of Sweden in the second half of the 1960s. Formerly unorthodox, metatextual, and verging on erotica in a few instances, it's no longer stunning visually or artistically, yet it still has many correct observations about youth to express.